The stars looked different from Jupiter's orbit. Captain Du Jin Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth exploration vessel, Horizon, watching the gas giants swirling storms through the main viewport. His ship had been mapping the outer planets for the past 3 months, a routine mission that was about to become anything but normal. "Captain, we're picking up strange readings," said Officer Yuna Lee, her eyes fixed on her screen. "It's like nothing we've seen before. The energy signature is off the charts." Du Jin walked to her station, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "Show me." The readings didn't make sense. The energy pattern didn't match any known human technology. As he studied the data, a large shape emerged from behind one of Jupiter's moons. The object was smooth and silver, shaped like a leaf floating in space, and it was at least 3 times the size of the horizon. "All stations, yellow alert," Du Jin ordered, his voice calm despite his racing heart. "Open all frequencies for communication." The crew moved with practiced ease. They had trained for first contact scenarios, but no one really expected it to happen. The alien ship grew larger on their screen, its surface catching the distant sunlight like polished metal. A sound filled the bridge, a series of musical tones that made the computer screens flicker. Then, to everyone's surprise, the tones transformed into words. "Unknown vessel, this is the Coalition research ship Starlight Seeker. We come in peace and wish to establish communication." Du Jin took a deep breath. Humanity's first contact would happen here, nearly 600 million kilometers from Earth, and he would be the one to make it. "Coalition vessel, this is Captain Du Jin Kim of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We also come in peace and welcome communication." There was a pause, then the alien ship's response came, "Preparing visual communication link." The main screen lit up, and the crew of the Horizon found themselves staring at beings they had never imagined. The aliens looked like tall, thin figures with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer. Their large, dark eyes blinked slowly as they studied the humans. "Fascinating," the alien in the center said. "You are not wearing environmental suits. How are you surviving?" Du Jin looked at his crew, confused. "These are our normal working conditions. Temperature 20 degrees Celsius, standard Earth gravity simulation, normal atmosphere mix." The aliens began talking quickly among themselves in their musical language. When they turned back to the screen, they seemed excited and nervous at the same time. "Captain Du Jin Kim, your species lives in conditions that would kill most known civilizations. Your gravity is crushing, your temperature variations extreme, and your atmosphere dense with reactive gases. You are from what we call a death world." The human crew looked at each other. Earth, their home, was a death world to these advanced aliens. "We would like to learn more," the alien continued. "Our sensors indicate your bodies are incredibly dense with strong muscle fibers. Your internal chemistry is robust enough to process foods that would be toxic to us. You are, by Coalition standards, remarkably powerful beings." Du Jin smiled, trying to keep the situation friendly. "We are just normal humans, living in what we consider normal conditions. We would be happy to share information about Earth and learn about your worlds as well." The alien leader nodded, a gesture they must have learned from studying human transmissions. "Captain, your ship's arrival marks a historic moment. You are the first Death World species we have ever encountered. The Coalition would like to formally invite Earth to join our community of worlds." As Du Jin accepted the invitation, he realized that everything humanity knew was about to change. They had prepared to meet aliens who might be more advanced, more powerful, or even dangerous. Instead, they discovered that humans were the ones other species would see as remarkable. The Horizon's communication officer sent their first official report back to Earth. First contact established with peaceful alien coalition. Earth classified as Death World. Humans classified as extreme condition species. Request immediate diplomatic mission. All is well. History is being made. Du Jin looked at Jupiter again, thinking about how this massive gas giant, which humans saw as an impossible place to live, might be comfortable for some coalition species. The universe, he realized, was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Dr. Hannah Park had never thought she would be explaining rain to an advanced alien species. Yet here she was, standing in a climate-controlled room aboard the Coalition science vessel, watching the chief xenobiologist flinch at footage of a light spring shower. "And this is considered pleasant weather?" asked Chief Scientist Relon, his silvery skin rippling with concern. "Yes," Hannah said. "This is what we call a perfect spring day. About 18 degrees Celsius. Light rain, mild breeze." The alien scientists in the room looked at each other with what Hannah had learned was their expression of shock, a slight vibration of their head fronds. The readings on their instruments seemed to disturb them even more. "Dr. Park, the water falling from your sky is not only uncontrolled but contains various minerals. And is that acid?" "Just normal rainwater," Hannah explained. "Very slightly acidic, yes, but harmless to us. It helps our plants grow." Relon moved to a large display screen showing Earth's weather patterns. "And these red areas?" "Deserts," Hannah said. "Temperatures can reach 50 degrees Celsius there. Some humans live in these regions. We just use air conditioning when it gets too hot." The alien scientists began typing frantically on their floating screens. One of them, a junior researcher, actually had to leave the room. Hannah was starting to understand why Earth had been classified as a death world. "Let us discuss your oceans," Raylon said, changing the display. "They cover most of your planet with highly corrosive salt water, yet humans willingly enter them for pleasure." Hannah smiled. "We call it swimming. Most humans learn to do it as children. It's fun." "Fun," Raylon repeated the word carefully. "Your species finds entertainment in immersing themselves in corrosive liquid under crushing pressure." "The pressure isn't really crushing at recreational depths," Hannah explained. "Though yes, some humans dive quite deep for work or sport." The door opened, and a new group of coalition scientists entered. They were carrying the results of the human physical capability tests. Hannah had watched some of their strongest warriors try to match basic human exercises. The results had been surprising for everyone. "Dr. Park," one of the new scientists said, "we need to verify these numbers." The human test subject lifted a weight that would crush our strongest environmental suits. And they said they were, how did they put it, just warming up. "That sounds about right for a regular gym workout," Hannah said. "Many humans lift weights for exercise. It helps build strength and stay healthy." Relon moved to a different screen, this one showing a human skeletal structure. "Your bones. They're incredibly dense. And these muscle fibers. The energy output is remarkable. A human running at what you call a jogging pace would outspeed most coalition species at their maximum effort." Hannah watched as they brought up more test results. Human bite force, grip strength, endurance. Everything that was normal for her species seemed extraordinary to them. She remembered the arm wrestling match from yesterday, where a coalition strength champion had lost to one of their office workers. "There's something else," Raylon said, his voice lower. "The combat simulation results. Your test subjects' reflexes, they exceeded our measuring capabilities, and the force behind their strikes. We had to stop the test," another scientist added. "The training dummy was destroyed. These readings suggest that an unarmed human could overpower most of our defensive systems." Hannah felt a mix of pride and concern. Humanity had always imagined they would be the weaker species when they met aliens. Instead, their normal abilities seemed almost frightening to their new allies. "I hope this doesn't change anything," she said carefully. "Humans may be strong by your standards, but we value peace. We're scientists, explorers, builders. We want to learn from you and share what we know." Relon's head fronds settled into what Hannah now recognized as a calming pattern. "Of course, Dr. Park. The Coalition values knowledge above all. Your species has clearly developed remarkable adaptations. We have much to learn from each other." As they turned back to their data, Hannah noticed new readings on the screen. Atmospheric composition of Earth's air. She decided to wait before telling them that what they called dangerously high oxygen levels was what humans needed to breathe comfortably. Some revelations could wait for another day. Jai-Ho Lee straightened his tie as he walked through the grand halls of the Coalition Embassy. Being Earth's first ambassador to the Coalition was a huge responsibility, and today's diplomatic reception was especially important. Leaders from 30 different species would be there, many still unsure about letting a Deathworld species join their civilization. The embassy itself showed how different humans were from other species. His quarters had to be specially built with stronger materials, higher gravity, and what the Coalition called extreme temperature controls. To Jai-Ho, it was just a comfortable room at 20 degrees Celsius. "Ambassador Lee," called out a voice. It was Melta, his Coalition guide, hurrying toward him with the floating movement typical of low-gravity species. "Are you comfortable? Our sensors show the corridor temperature has risen to what your species calls 16 degrees Celsius." "That's fine," Jai-Ho said with a smile. "I don't even need a jacket at this temperature." Melta's color shifted slightly, something that happened whenever she was reminded of human endurance. They reached the main reception hall, where representatives from across the Coalition had gathered. The room was a marvel of alien architecture, with sweeping curves and floating platforms. Jai-Ho noticed immediately that he was the only one not wearing an environmental suit of some kind. To him, the room was pleasantly cool and the gravity was slightly low. To everyone else, these were challenging conditions that needed special equipment to survive in. Ambassador Lee called the Coalition High Chancellor, Barry. "Please, join us. We were just discussing the new trade routes." As Jai-Ho walked toward the group, he heard a sharp cracking sound above. Looking up, he saw one of the floating platforms beginning to break. Below it, several delegates were talking, unaware of the danger. Without thinking, Jai-Ho ran forward. In the lower gravity, each step sent him flying further than he expected. He reached the group just as the platform gave way. Acting on instinct, he braced himself and caught the falling piece of metal and crystal that would have crushed the delegates. The room went completely silent. Jai-Ho stood there, holding up a weight that would have required heavy machinery in the Coalition's world. To him, it was heavy but manageable, like moving furniture. "Is everyone okay?" he asked, trying to sound calm. Could someone help these delegates move to a safer spot? The delegates hurried away, their environmental suits whirring with increased activity. Jai-Ho carefully lowered the broken platform to the ground, trying not to cause any more damage to the decorative floor. "Ambassador," Barry said, his voice filled with awe, "you just lifted over 2 tons of metal and crystal without any mechanical assistance." Jai-Ho brushed some dust off his suit. "I apologize for any damage to the platform. Human reflexes can sometimes be a bit quick." The room burst into excited chatter. Coalition members rushed to their communication devices, no doubt sharing what they had just seen. Within minutes, Jai-Ho knew this would be spreading across Coalition space. "This is exactly why we need Earth in the Coalition," Barry announced to the room. "Look at what we just saw. Quick thinking, physical capability, and most importantly, the instinct to protect others." Ambassador Lee didn't think about politics or species differences. He simply acted to save lives. Melta approached Jai-Ho with a scanner. "Ambassador, are you injured? Our medical team is concerned about the strain on your system." "I'm fine," Jai-Ho assured her, "though I might need another coffee. The caffeine helps me stay alert during long diplomatic meetings." This caused another stir among the delegates. They had recently learned that caffeine, a substance humans drank for mild stimulation, was classified as a dangerous chemical weapon in Coalition space. As the reception continued, Jai-Ho noticed a change in how the delegates looked at him. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else: respect. and maybe even hope. They were beginning to understand that having humans in the coalition didn't just mean dealing with Deathworlders. It meant having allies who could do things they couldn't, go places they couldn't go, and help in ways they never expected. Perhaps, Jaiho heard one delegate say to another, "Having some Deathworlders around isn't such a bad thing after all." Sun Mikang stood at attention in the Coalition Military Academy's main training hall. She was one of 5 humans accepted into the prestigious school, and today was their first physical assessment. The other students, all from different Coalition worlds, stood far away from the humans, their environmental suits humming softly. Cadet Kang called out Training Master Velox through his translator. "Please demonstrate the standard obstacle course for your class." Sun Mi looked at the course. It seemed very simple to her. Some barriers to climb, gaps to jump, and weights to move. She had expected something more challenging from the Coalition's top military school. "Should I use any safety equipment?" she asked. Velox checked his datapad. "No, your species' natural capabilities should be sufficient. Begin when ready." Sun Mi started running. In the station's lower gravity, each step sent her flying forward. She quickly learned to control her movements, using less force than she would on Earth. She reached the first barrier, a 3-meter wall. Without slowing down, she jumped and pulled herself over. The other cadets gasped. What they saw as an impossible climb was just a basic move for her. She continued through the course, lifting the weighted objects easily and jumping across gaps that would have required jetpacks for other species. She finished the course in 2 minutes. "Cadet Kang," Velox said, his voice showing surprise even through the translator. "You just broke every record in the Academy's history. The previous best time was 15 minutes. Sun Mi wiped a small bead of sweat from her forehead. "I apologize, sir. Should I have gone slower?" The training hall erupted in excited chatter. The other cadets crowded around their screens, watching replays of her performance. Several instructors were frantically taking notes. "No apology needed," Velox said. "But I am curious. You seem barely tired. Was this not challenging for you?" Sun Mi thought carefully before answering. She didn't want to sound boastful. "Sir, on Earth, this would be considered a basic training course. Our police and firefighters train on more difficult obstacles." A young cadet from a low-gravity world raised his hand. "Is it true that human children play in conditions that would kill most of us?" "Well," Sun Mi said, "I used to climb trees and play in the rain when I was little. That was normal fun for us." The cadet's environmental suit buzzed as it processed this information. The idea of voluntarily climbing a tall plant life form while water fell from the sky seemed to shock him. Velox called up a new training program on the main screen. "Cadet Kang, your species' physical capabilities exceed our standard training methods. We will need to design new programs specifically for human cadets." Sun Mi watched as her 4 human classmates completed the course with similar ease. Each of them moved with the natural strength and agility that came from growing up on Earth. What seemed extraordinary to the Coalition was just everyday normal to them. "Sir," she said, "instead of separate training, maybe we could help our classmates. Humans are good at teaching others how to adapt and overcome challenges." Velox's posture changed, and what Sun Mi had learned was approval. "An excellent suggestion. Your species' experience with extreme conditions could help our cadets think differently about obstacles." For the rest of the training session, Sun Mi worked with cadets from different worlds. She showed them how to use their environmental suits more efficiently, how to think about movement in new ways, and most importantly, how to push past their perceived limits. "Remember," she told the struggling cadet, "your body can do more than you think. That's something we learned on Earth. It's not about being the strongest. It's about believing you can adapt and improve." As she helped her classmates, Sun Mi realized that humans weren't just bringing physical strength to the Coalition. They were bringing hope, hope that even species from gentle worlds could learn to be stronger, more adaptable, and braver than they ever thought possible. Velox watched his cadets training together, humans, and non-humans learning from each other. Perhaps, he said quietly, this is exactly what the Coalition needed. A little push from some friendly Deathworlders. Captain Taiwan Choi stood on the bridge of the rescue ship Earth Hope, looking at the screens showing the colony world Nova 3. The planet's atmosphere swirled with violent storms, and its surface temperature was rising quickly due to increased volcanic activity. Status report. He called out to his human crew. Surface temperature is 45 degrees Celsius, Officer Song reported. Air has high levels of volcanic gases. Gravity is 1.2 times Earth normal. Coalition colonists are trapped in their main shelter, but their environmental systems are failing. To most Coalition species, these conditions meant certain death. To Taiwan's rescue team, it was like a hot summer day with bad air quality. Uncomfortable, but manageable. Coalition Command said this was a suicide mission. His second-in-command, Yuri, reminded him. No other rescue ships would come. They said the conditions were too extreme. Taiwan checked his simple breathing mask, the only protection his team would need. Well, then it's good they have some Deathworlders to call on. Team, prepare for landing. The Earth Hope broke through the storm clouds. Lightning flashed around them, and the ship shook in the heavy winds. To Coalition ships, these would be devastating conditions, but human ships were built to handle Earth's weather, which could be far worse. They landed near the colony's main dome. Through the thick air, they could see the transparent structure was cracking under the heat and pressure. Inside, 300 colonists waited in their failing shelter. Time to move, Taiwan ordered. His team of 20 humans stepped out onto the planet's surface. The heat hit them immediately. It was like walking into a sauna, and the air smelled like rotten eggs from the volcanic gases. But they had trained for this. Many of them had worked in Earth's volcanic regions or deep mines, where conditions were similar. Coalition control, this is Captain Choi. Taiwan reported through his radio. We are on the surface and moving to the dome. Conditions are well within human tolerance. The response came back filled with static and worry. Captain, our sensors show conditions that no sapient life should survive in. Are you certain your team is safe? Taiwan watched as his team carried heavy rescue equipment across the rocky ground. Affirmative. These conditions are uncomfortable, but not dangerous for humans. We're proceeding with the rescue. They reached the dome's main airlock. Inside, the Coalition colonists stared in shock as humans walked around in what they considered a death zone. Many had never seen humans operating outside of controlled environments before. Your environmental systems are failing, Taiwan announced through the dome's communication system. We're going to get you to our ship. We have temporary environmental suits for everyone. One of the colony leaders stepped forward. But how will you survive carrying us? The heat, the gravity, the toxic air. This is nothing, Yuri said with a gentle smile. I grew up in a city with worse air quality than this. We'll be fine. The rescue operation began. Each human crew member could carry 2 or 3 colonists in their protective suits. They made trip after trip through the harsh conditions, never slowing down. To the colonists, it seemed impossible. To the humans, it was just another tough day at work. 3 hours later, all 300 colonists were safely aboard the Earth Hope. As they left the planet's atmosphere, Taiwan received a message from Coalition Command. Captain Choi, you and your crew have done the impossible. You've saved lives in conditions we thought no one could survive in. The Coalition owes humanity a great debt. Taiwan looked at his tired but proud crew. We didn't do anything impossible. We just did what humans have always done. Adapt and help others. Though I wouldn't mind some cold drinks when we get back. The colonists, safe in their controlled environments, watched the human crew with new understanding. These Deathworlders, who could walk through what they saw as hell itself, had risked their lives to save strangers. Perhaps being strong wasn't just about surviving tough conditions. Perhaps it was also about using that strength to help others. Next time, Taiwan said to his crew, Let's hope they call us before the situation becomes an emergency. Though I have to admit, it feels good to show the Coalition what humans can do. Dr. Min Ji-yoon walked through her workshop on the Coalition Science Station, looking at the rows of new environmental suits her team had created. After 6 months of work, they were ready to show the Coalition how Earth's centuries of survival experience could help other species. "Are you sure about this demonstration?" asked her Coalition partner, Terrell. "The suits seem so thin." Min-ji picked up one of the suits. Unlike the bulky machines the Coalition used, her team's design was light and flexible, like the diving suits used on Earth. "Sometimes simpler is better," she said. "We learned that on Earth, when you're diving deep in the ocean or climbing high mountains, you need to be able to move freely." The demonstration hall was filled with Coalition scientists and military leaders. They watched nervously as Terrell put on one of the new suits. It was the first time any of them had seen a Coalition member in something so light. "The suit uses materials based on Earth deep-sea creatures," Min-ji explained to the crowd. "It's stronger than steel but flexible like skin. The breathing system copies how Earth fish use gills." She turned to Terrell. "Ready to test it?" Terrell nodded inside the suit. Min-ji pressed a button, and one section of the hall changed to match Earth's conditions. In their old suits, Coalition members couldn't spend more than a few minutes in such an environment. Terrell walked into the Earth-like conditions. Everyone waited nervously, but the suit worked perfectly. Terrell moved easily, bending and stretching in ways their old suits never allowed. "This is amazing," Terrell said through the suit's communication system. "I can feel the environment, but it's not hurting me. And I can move so freely." Min-ji smiled. Now for the real test. She changed the room's conditions to match a volcanic area on Earth. The temperature rose to 50 degrees Celsius, and the air filled with gases that would normally be deadly to Coalition species. Terrell stayed calm in the suit, still comfortable. "The suit is adjusting automatically, just like you said it would." The Coalition leaders started talking excitedly among themselves. One stepped forward, an old military commander. "Dr. Yoon," he said, "your team has done more than make better suits. You've given us freedom. With these, we can explore worlds we never dared to visit before." Min-ji walked over to another part of her workshop. "The suits are just the beginning. Look at these." She showed them new tools and vehicles, all based on Earth technology. There were machines like the ones used in Earth's deepest mines, boats designed like those that sailed Earth's roughest seas, and aircraft that could fly through storms. "Humans learn to live in every environment on Earth," she explained. "We've been building things to help us survive extreme conditions for thousands of years. Now we can share that knowledge." A Coalition scientist raised her hand. "But how did your species think of all this? Our technology focused on controlling environments, not adapting to them." Min-ji thought about her grandmother, who had told her stories about surviving harsh winters without modern heating. When you can't control the environment, you learn to adapt to it. Every piece of human technology came from that need to adapt. She pointed to a wall of pictures showing Earth's different environments: deserts, mountains, oceans, and jungles. Each of these places taught us something. The deep ocean taught us about pressure resistance. Mountains taught us about thin air. Deserts taught us about heat protection. The Coalition members looked at the pictures with new understanding. What they had seen as deadly environments were actually Earth's classrooms, teaching humanity how to survive and thrive. "Today," Min-ji announced, "we share these lessons with you. With these new designs, your species can safely go where only humans could go before. Together, we can explore every corner of the galaxy." As she watched Coalition members try on the new suits, Min-ji felt proud. Humans weren't just strong because of their tough bodies. They were strong because they never stopped finding new ways to overcome challenges. Now, they could help their new friends be strong too. Jun Seo-nam stood before the Coalition Science Council, ready to present his research. After a year of studying both human and Coalition species, He had made a discovery that would change how the coalition saw themselves. "My fellow scientists," he began, "we've been looking at humans the wrong way. We call them super beings, but that's not accurate. The truth is simpler. We've become too comfortable." The room filled with murmurs. Juncio brought up images on the large screen behind him. They showed coalition worlds, beautiful, peaceful places with perfect weather and controlled environments. "Look at our worlds," he said. "For 10,000 years, we've been making our lives easier. We controlled the weather. We adjusted gravity. We filtered our air. And while we did this, something important happened. We stopped adapting." He changed the screen to show Earth. Storm clouds rolled across oceans. Volcanoes spewed ash into the sky. Desert winds blew across vast empty spaces. Earth never let humans rest, Juncio continued. When it was cold, they had to get warm. When it was hot, they had to stay cool. When the air was thin in the mountains, their bodies had to change to breathe it. Every day was a challenge, and every challenge made them stronger. One council member raised his hand. "Are you saying we should make our worlds more dangerous?" Juncio smiled. "No, I'm saying we should remember how to adapt. Look at this." He showed new data on the screen. It revealed something surprising. Coalition species living in human-designed environmental suits were getting stronger. Their bodies were learning to handle more stress. Their minds were becoming better at solving problems. When humans joined us, we thought they were special because they were strong. But that's not it. They're special because they never stopped trying to overcome challenges. And now, they're teaching us how to do the same. Juncio walked to a small table and picked up a glass of water. The council watched nervously. They knew Earth water was slightly acidic by their standards. 6 months ago, none of us could touch Earth water without protection. But look at this. He took a small sip. "I've been slowly exposing myself to Earth conditions. My body is adapting. Not to human levels, but more than we thought possible." The council chamber erupted in excited discussion. Juncio waited for them to quiet down before continuing. "Humans aren't super beings. They're just beings who never forgot how to change and grow. And the best part is, they want to teach us. They're excited to show us how to be stronger." He showed videos of coalition members training with humans, scientists working together in tough conditions, students learning to move in higher gravity, explorers testing their limits in new environments. Every day, more of us are discovering that we can do things we thought impossible. We're not becoming humans. We're remembering how to be adaptable, like our own ancestors were long ago. An old council member stood up. "But isn't it safer to stay in our controlled environments? Why take risks?" Juncio nodded. "Safety is good, but too much safety makes us weak. Look at human children. They fall down, they get up, they fail, they try again. They get sick. Their bodies learn to fight new diseases. Every challenge makes them stronger." He showed one final image. A coalition child and a human child playing together in a special room with slightly higher gravity than normal. "This is our future," Juncio said. "Not giving up our technology or our comfortable worlds, but learning to be stronger, more adaptable, more resilient. Learning to face challenges instead of hiding from them." The council was quiet for a long moment. Then the head scientist spoke. "Dr. Nam, you're saying humans aren't extraordinary. They just never stopped doing what all living things were meant to do: adapt and grow." Juncio smiled. "Exactly. And if we learn from them, there's no limit to what we can become. Not super beings, just beings who aren't afraid to become stronger." As the council discussed his findings, Juncio thought about how far they had all come. Humans had shown them that true strength wasn't about being naturally tough. It was about being willing to face challenges and learn from them. It was a lesson the entire coalition needed to learn. Admiral Du Jin Kim stood at the main viewport of Coalition Space Station Alpha, watching the new joint exploration fleet prepare for launch. 5 years had passed since that first contact near Jupiter, and everything had changed. The fleet below was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Coalition ships flew alongside Earth vessels. Some ships had mixed crews, with Coalition members wearing the new light environmental suits that let them work next to humans. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" asked Ambassador Jai-Ho Lee, who had come to watch the launch. "Remember when they thought we were dangerous super beings?" Du-Jin smiled. "Now look at us, working together, exploring together. Though I still catch some of them staring when I drink hot coffee." The station's announcement system came to life. Final preparations for Project New Horizons are complete. All ships report ready for launch. Through the viewport, they could see the crews making their final checks. Human engineers worked with Coalition scientists, sharing their knowledge about surviving tough conditions. Coalition navigators used their advanced star maps, while human pilots added their experience with rough weather and dangerous landings. "Admiral," called out Officer Yuna Lee, who had been with him since that first contact. The new worlds we're going to explore. Most of them would have been impossible for either species to visit alone. She was right. The target planets were too harsh for Coalition ships, but too far for human vessels to reach without Coalition technology. Together, they could go anywhere. "Remember the rescue mission on Nova 3? Jai-Ho asked. "Now we have Coalition teams training to handle conditions like that. Not at human levels, but better than anyone thought possible." The station's viewing area filled with people coming to watch the launch. Humans stood next to Coalition members without anyone feeling nervous or afraid. Young Coalition cadets talked excitedly with human veterans, learning stories about Earth's toughest environments. Dr. Hannah Park, now the head of Joint Species Research, joined them at the window. "The latest medical reports are amazing," she said. "Coalition species who train with humans are showing improved strength and adaptability. Not to human levels, but far beyond what they thought possible." "And humans?" Du-Jin asked. "We're learning too. Coalition technology is helping us work smarter, not just harder. Their environmental control knowledge is making our colonies safer." The countdown began. 20 ships, the pride of both human and Coalition engineering, prepared for launch. Each one carried a mixed crew, ready to face the unknown together. "This is what we needed all along," Jai-Ho said quietly. "Not just humans teaching others to be tough, or the Coalition teaching us about advanced technology, but all of us learning that we're stronger together." The ships began to launch one by one, their engines glowing against the darkness of space. Coalition drive technology combined with human-designed safety systems made them more powerful and safer than anything before. "You know what the best part is?" Du-Jin said, watching the ships. "We're not just exploring space. We're exploring what's possible when different species work together. Every day, we find new ways to help each other grow stronger." The last ship prepared for launch. It was the New Horizon Ida, named after Du-Jin's original ship. Its crew included children of both species, the first generation to grow up seeing humans and Coalition members as equals. "To think," Hannah said, "it all started because we came from a world they thought was too dangerous to live on. Now they understand that facing challenges makes you stronger." The final ship launched, its lights joining the others in the darkness of space. The gathered crowd cheered. Humans with loud shouts, Coalition members with their own unique sounds of joy. Du-Jin looked at the fleet one last time before they jumped to faster-than-light speed. "We're not the Deathworlders anymore," he said. "We're just friends who helped each other become better than we were before." The ships disappeared into the distance, carrying the hopes of two civilizations that had learned an important truth. Sometimes the strongest beings aren't the ones born tough, but the ones who help others find their own strength.